Good morning, South Florida.
And welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe Morning Show.
Grab your coffee as we brew up the talk of the day.
From the latest scoop around town
to feel-good stories and messages of hope.
A few jokes and live calling.
Highlighting local businesses.
Discussing hot trends and news stories.
A dash of feel-good nostalgia.
I love those morning cartoons.
Keeping up with upcoming events.
Sometimes trying and delicious foods.
Weekly horoscope updates.
An occasional flying duck.
Some sparkle dust.
Don't forget my bell.
And my wand.
With our brew crew laughing on set.
So grab your coffee, your bagel, donut, or any breakfast as we get you up and ready for the rest of your day.
And don't leave us hanging. Give us a follow. Comment live or call right into the show at 888-994-4995 Studio B.
Whether it's a tip of the day or just to say good morning, we'd love to hear from you.
From Amp Media Production Studio, it's
the Brooklyn Cafe Morning Show. Freddie, you have to get up. We've got a morning show to do.
Just give me 5 more minutes. Where'd I put my hat?
Come on, Freddie. You don't have time. Get out of bed.
I can never find my hat when I need it.
We'll get the hat at the studio. Let's go. Pour yourself some coffee and get to the studio because it's time for the morning show.
Now, where's my bell?
Welcome to the morning show with Dawn and Freddie S., the South Florida show that everyone's talking about.
Welcome to the morning show. Look at Monalisa's face.
Morning to you.
Mm-hmm.
He's testing my patience today, Dawn.
She does that to me every day.
Every day.
So
why should today be any different?
Did you call this one? Did you do that one? Freddie, we need to do that. Call them.
Did you do it?
Well, if it was your idea, shouldn't you? That's my question. Morning, everybody. If it's someone's idea, shouldn't they execute the idea instead of saying, you do it?
No.
I think most people do except you.
No.
There's like this carve out for Freddie.
No, G-Man and I last night, we learned a lesson. Where you have to attack it from every direction.
But do you or do you tell G-Man to do it?
No, sometimes I give him a look and sometimes he gives me a look. You see, he understands me and I understand him because I already know what's going on. He already knows what I'm saying to fix what's going on. So we sort of work hand in hand. But nobody in this room will ever be able to follow that bouncing ball. You know that, right? Nobody.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Why do guys always think that the woman can read their mind and they're asking you to do something and you don't even explain what to do? You're just like, do this. And
no.
See, I'm more the other way.
Something
I think he should read my mind. And
I was just about to say
No.
I'm like the opposite on that one.
Women want their minds read. I want a glass of water.
Sarah, with an H says that's not true.
So you bring a glass of water, and they go, you don't understand me.
Well, wasn't one of my favorite comedians says, the man and a woman can say the same thing and mean different things. And he goes, for example, there's a case, he comes back, his wife goes to the bathroom, there's no toilet paper. She goes, yeah, we're out of toilet paper. And he goes, okay, well, then he goes, there's not a single one, but what was she really saying?
She's really saying, put the toilet paper,
go
change
get
it.
some.
Go get it, change it, and put it on.
Right, she says, go get some, right? And why didn't he? Because she didn't ask him to.
That's right, because we don't know. You may need one to. Listen, there's something called misconception of understanding.
Yeah.
So you tell a dog, you go, boo-boo, sit. They sit. You go to your girlfriend and say, honey, sit. They don't sit.
Why should she sit? Because you told her she's not a dog. Thank you, Jill.
But here we go.
I always joke, guys are more like dogs and women are more like cats.
Wait. But the reaction, because I said the dog sits, they think that I'm comparing them to a dog. That is the misconception of understanding and communication. I wasn't comparing one to the other. I just used it as an example. Women aren't dogs, not at all. But look how quickly they jump to the conclusion. And that's exactly what she just did. Why is it that men think we can read their minds? It ain't that way at all. They want you to think that. That's the way it works.
Then they flip it on you.
They flip it. What happened?
It's that men don't listen, not that we want you to read.
Well, it isn't that we don't listen.
Usually,
our brain is not as formulated as yours.
No. Usually it's very simple. And just being in a relationship, it's very simple. If I
am saying something, I feel some type of way, or I need you to do something, I ask 20 times before I got upset, and I expect you to read my mind because I already told you 20 times.
I have a question for your generation.
Absolutely.
On relationships. Do you think men are... You're kind of on the outskirts of their age because you're older.
Yeah.
Do you think men are more non-committal in your generation than they were, say, in our generation?
I think men have pretty much given up on dating for the most part because every time a guy wants to and chooses to be a gentleman or this or labeled as a creep or choose to be emotional.
I would say you're in a relationship, G-Man. Say you're in this like long-term relationship, whatever long-term is for you, 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, and it comes down to that pivotal point of we get married or we don't.
Wait a minute, his age group?
Their age group? 20s, 30s.
We are approximately the three of us more in the same generation than anyone else in this room.
What about Polar Bear?
Also Polar Bear.
Polar Bear.
My bad.
Yeah.
Four
Yes.
of us.
So your mind frame is different.
So my question is, do you think men are more non-committal when it comes to that? All right, let's take the next step, or are they at their age, or are they happy to go? You know what? I'm happy with the status quo. Let's just live together.
I'm gonna say it's both men and women in this generation. I think both are in a sense where it's like we don't have to commit if we don't want to. We're vibing where we're at.
I think men.
I think both are like it. I'm not gonna gender it.
If you're talking about because I mean, I know I would say back in the day, I don't think men treated their women, as respectful as that men do now.
Whoa.
It was a different culture.
And back in what day? His day? My day? Her
your
day? My day.
Your
That's not true at all.
But
Not true
I would
at all.
say it's less often of people really caring about marriage, kids, really focusing on what it's like having a partnership.
You do want it or you don't want it at your generation?
They don't
work
towards it.
There's also
that men don't work towards it.
In my opinion, I think there's those people that are very driven to their profession, their career, so they don't want to have a family and they don't want to get committed because they're focused on their goals and they want to achieve them, and they feel like being in a partnership it would take that attention away. So I've noticed that in some.
And I've only asked this because in the past month, a couple of close friends, their kids have been dating for years and years. Welcome back. Living together for years and years and years and years. And the girl comes down to, and her parents are like, all right, bro, what's the deal with? And they're very happy the way it is.
How old are they?
30.
I think people are more selfish nowadays. Some
First
in
of
a good
all,
way, some bad
hold
ways.
on a second. I want to correct a statement made. Back in the day,
Siri's not happy with you.
back in the day,
Even Siri doesn't want to agree.
men were more respectful of women and more fearful of women.
Okay, wait, but listen. I think we just have the day wrong. It was before your generation in which women weren't treated correctly because women didn't have rights. Women couldn't open up credit cards. But I'm saying, sorry, this was before you. I think just the generation was wrong. It was before you.
Probably.
It was generation before you. That was that.
Yeah.
Women weren't
Like
really
my
the best.
grandparents' era or earlier.
Have you seen the show 1923?
I'll give you grandparents. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Have you seen 1923 about the I think they're cowboys or they're people who have farmland and
Yeah, you're talking about
Yellowstone?
Yellowstone, yeah. I watched that, and back in that time, the woman was had to do the cooking, cleaning, taking care of kids.
Like for example, in Titanic.
Talking to your mic.
Like in Titanic, they asked the lady who played the mom, "How can you be so?" This goes, but you have to understand, at that time, women didn't even have the right to vote. They had no right to property. They had no right to custody. So the only options you had were either you got married and had kids, you were a teacher, or you were a streetwalker. There weren't a whole lot of options.
So back to my original question, why do you think people, all genders, are less committal now than they were back in my day, your day, our parents'
quality
day?
of life.
There's no societal pressure to do so anymore. There was this societal norm in which at this age you're going to get married, you're going to buy your first home, you're going to have your kids, yada yada yada.
You should switch.
There is no societal norm anymore. We're breaking that norm, this generation. we're saying we're on our own timeline. Whenever I want to get married is when I get married. Whenever I don't want to get married is when I don't want to get married.
Or if you don't want to get married.
Exactly. So we're just breaking that norm, and I think that's what's happening, is that this generation is not following these things that other generations have followed. That's why you see so many other changes too.
Myself, I've pretty much given up on dating because every date.
Yeah, but you're a guy. We're talking about women.
I'm talking about, it's on both sides. I've given up on dating because no girl actually wants me, and the ones that do want me don't want me for the right reasons. They want to use me, abuse me, ignore me, and blame me.
Well, that sounds like
sounds
like a little issue.
Therapy session.
I know, but
if you've been through what I've been through, you would have.
Well, but everybody's been through a story. But let me ask you: do you think that that's power for women, or that they get to do what they want to do, or is it less power because they just don't care anymore?
No, I think it's powerful. Women are finally just taking charge. They do what they want to do, and they have every right to do so.
Well,
I agree with that, but the thing is, but then they get mad that there's no nice guys around. I go,
no, but I feel
the nice guys don't want to have given up because they play games with us, and we don't want to do it anymore.
But I'm not referring to that. I'm just referring to the societal norms and stereotypes that we have followed
even
for years.
My generation, forget even before that. That was when you just got married and had kids. Even for me, that was you got married, you had kids. There were not always two-income households at all until as my kids were growing up, I saw the shift. Mm-hmm. So I saw the shift even as I was an adult of all my friends. We raised our kids, and then once they got to a certain age, we all started going back to work.
Yeah, that's because society has gotten more expensive.
That's why I said quality of life.
Yeah. For a tank of gas,
but it wasn't even the money then. It was more of feeling you wanted something for you. We got to that point that society was changing. So when I started working with you, that women empowerment was just coming to be. So I was in my 40s, and women empowerment, I mean, think that wasn't that long ago.
I mean, a good
that
one.
10 years ago, that it was just coming up, that women said it's not even about the money. It was about doing something that you could actually do for you, because we all got married young. We had kids young. We didn't think differently. That was just what societal norm was.
Exactly, it was the norm.
And then you realize, well, I've done what I did, right? I've raised my kids.
Like,
I'm good, and now what? So now your generation, our kids are growing up, and their norms have changed. Well, even genders have changed, whatever that looks like for people.
And
that's why I was saying it's different. Like, I agree what you're saying about the women power, but also, like,
it goes hand in hand.
Because I think that was more back in her generation. Now I think it's quality of life. Like, I saw this news article talking about how people, like, in your generation, why they didn't have kids. Oh, it just didn't happen. I didn't meet the one. Versus us, it's literally quality of life. They don't want to bring people into this economy, into what's going on in this
financially makes no sense to bring in a kid when you can't even afford to live your
it's
own.
afraid. The crime rate, shootings, whatever it may be.
I tell young girls, I'm like, don't have kids, because it's like everything has changed. So we were raised in the 80s, we were born in the 80s. You're young, though. But no, Michael and I were
about the same age, right?
Yeah. And, we didn't have all this social media competition, bullying, gender change.
Not on social media. I know, but in person.
We're talking like cyberbullying and gender differences.
So you can get bullied out of school versus getting bullied by the whole internet. Like,
see, Freddie, and your kids are different for their generation.
When I was growing up, maybe this is why I see things a little bit different. In the 80s and 90s and 2000, when I was in the different jobs that I did, I was around powerful women. I was working for a bank, and the vice president was a powerful woman, and she actually mentored me. I grew up with my sister, who had nothing but women, teachers and everything else, and that whole deal. Michelle's mom, these are powerful women in the Bronx. I didn't never understood that whole man-woman thing. I never understood. Was I good in relationships? No, I wasn't. I mean, I've been divorced twice, but that had nothing to do with it. It had to do with what I saw, and what I saw was that women are better or just as good as any man.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was raised by my mom and her aunts.
No, but I'm saying that for every bad story, there are 10 good stories. For every 10 good stories, there's one bad story. The option of the game here is that you have choice. Always had choice. My mother had choice. She didn't have to run the family when my father went to work, but she did. And she said to me, good things come to those that work.
So wait, here, let me ask you, do you think culturally then it's different?
Of course.
Do you think the Hispanic
Yes.
culture
100%.
That
Still is
culture.
stuck.
Definitely.
Like
there
that.
it is.
Which direction do you think, what's different about Hispanic versus non-Hispanic, for example?
Hispanic family.
Generational, like, guilt. So, like, a lot of...
Generational
it's
trauma.
true. No, generational guilt, because especially if you're, like, a first-generation American, you have that pressure that my family risked their whole life to come to this country. Like, I have to
It's like, I have to be the person
I
who
have to
continues
be the best.
that.
Like, I got to
yeah,
go to college.
for sure.
I got to do this to provide for my family. So
my
that would be-
grandparents, on my mom's side, they were dirt poor Italian immigrants with nothing but the clothes on their back. So they literally did everything. They had almost no money. And so, like, for example, my mom's dad worked in the steel mills for shoveling sand for the molds for 30 years.
So let me ask Misha. Misha, you're from another country. Are you first generation in the U.S.? Do you have a mic? Yes, you do.
What does first generation mean?
Like, you're the first in your family to be in the U.S.
So, like, your parents
starting a
came
life
from
here.
another country, and you're, like, if you have older brothers, are you first, like, born in the United States, in your family?
No. I was born there, and I lived there for the most of my life.
Okay, so he's not
I moved with my parents. So I guess
so your parents are here, too.
So he's literally first gen, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He is
like, you're the first generation to come here.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So what's it like in Russia as far as dating and relationships?
How are women treated there?
How are women
That's
treated?
the question,
yeah. I would say it's very Western, at least where in the part of Russia where I live, it's very Western values, maybe a little bit less progressive, and women want to be treated, like man pays on a date and stuff like that.
Okay.
But expectations wise.
Did you go to American schools? Because your English is perfect.
Where did you learn your English?
Right? You would not even know.
It's like a complicated. I went to elementary school for 1 year in America, and then I just moved back. So.
Oh, okay. So you're back and forth, but you were born in Russia.
Yeah.
Big culture shock to live here from there. Or
No.
about the same?
No.
Oh, that's cool.
It would be a bigger culture shock if I didn't know the language. Like the first time I came, I was a child and I didn't know language, and it was a culture shock. But since I came, and then I came for the summer, it's kind of...
It was like a little bit here and there. It wasn't this one big, like, oh my gosh, where am I kind of moment.
Like
it was like a little sprinkle.
For 10 years and then came here.
Yeah.
It's like
here and there.
Do you like the aspect of dating someone here as opposed to dating someone in Russia?
It
doesn't
wouldn't make
matter.
a difference for me.
So it's easier. It's not easier or harder for you. It's just doing what you want to do, and
I would definitely prefer dating someone in real life, and right now, like,
since he's here,
I would want to date someone who lives here.
Here, okay.
But like Russian or American, or
It's the same
anyone
difference.
else.
Yeah, that's interesting because in Puerto Rico, when I was in high school, it was way different. Way different. The women were treated like you guys are describing. The fathers were very strict. We used to like going to the Pentecostal church to see the girls and say, "How you doing?"
And I definitely think that goes back to also Hispanic cultures.
Yeah, absolutely. It was strict, but we went up there with the New York style of, "Hey, how you doing?" and let's go to the beach.
The Bronx Puerto Rican
Yeah,
man, the
something
Italian Puerto Rican.
But
man.
you know,
Worked it to my advantage, you say so.
I was thinking like every culture, every color, every ethnicity, and everybody's like has their unique ways, because like a lot of we're all raised under the perception that God is our master creator, and we're
Not all. Most, not all.
no, but I just feel like there's so much nowadays that is exposed and has been exposed from the back times, that people who don't want that style of life, you won't see them going for it.
Well,
Well,
but you have choice now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too, is generational trauma, which was mentioned earlier, is the fact that like these kids, let's just say, did not have a good childhood growing up with their parents and the way they were raised. They're gonna break that barrier and break that that norm in a sense, I guess, and be like, I'm not treating my kids that way, or they are not being raised in this way or that way, or under God, or with like.
Gio and Freddie.
That's how it is. So
Gio's exactly what
that's what a lot of kids are doing now.
Like, I mean, I know like a lot of people who are grew up Mormon and now they're ex-Mormon. That's
because they're like, I can't.
Yeah, they're just like, I can't do this cult
anymore. Then they realize how they were treated and it wasn't the same as other people. So they're like, I don't want to live that life.
But let me ask you a different question. You're the oldest. Okay, being the oldest or being the youngest. Being, I guess, in between. But the oldest, isn't it more difficult for you? Because you're the one that sets the bar. All the mistakes that parents do when they have their first kid falls on the oldest.
It's not intentionally setting the bar.
It's also
it's their first time being a parent.
But it's the first time being a parent.
No, that's true. I mean, I wouldn't.
Sometimes I think it just depends. Like, I'm the youngest in, like, my family. And I think my older sister, she understands that it was my parents' first time parenting, so she's like, I'm okay with the mistakes you may or may not have made, and it's okay. You know, I guess like some people may not have that mindset where they're like, oh, it wasn't okay. My parents should not have made this mistake. And
do you feel you got over versus her they were more strict with?
I definitely got away with more than she ever did. 100%. 100%. And we both can admit that, and sometimes we joke about it.
I can see that.
But in terms of like strictness, my parents were just as strict. They raised me the same exact way.
Really?
But yeah, I mean,
you just got away with more.
A little bit.
You see, my brother, may he rest in peace, used to say this thing because I'm the youngest, but I also felt the burden of having to be better than my sister and my brother.
Oh yeah, I felt that too.
I wanted everybody went to college. Everybody worked. My brother worked with my father. Says I'm going to work with my father. At 9 years old, I was working with my father. And nobody wanted me in construction at 9 years of age. That's just nuts. But I wanted to because I wanted to raise.
You wanted to prove yourself. Yeah, like my sister went to veterinary school, and I was like, oh, I should probably go to med school or do something like that. So we're at the same level. But it's like it just wasn't meant to be, obviously.
Well, like,
but
for example, my brother, 3 years old, he wants to work at Disney, and he's actually achieved that.
Did you hear they're trying to pass legislation? I didn't even realize this was allowed, of not allowing 14-year-olds to do overnight shifts working in the state of Florida.
I heard that they repealed that.
I didn't know that 14-year-olds were allowed to even
work.
do this.
Yeah, you can.
To even work.
The child labor laws are absolutely awful.
Within a certain amount
they
of
just
hours.
rolled them back, right?
And I don't know what happened. I've heard a little bit here and there, but all I know has been I used to work at Red Lobster when I was like 15, and the amount of laws they broke while I was working there was insane.
Absolutely.
I'd work 12, 15-hour shifts with no lunch break, no nothing. I would do all these different jobs, and I was 15 years old. It's crazy.
I heard that, and I'm thinking, I didn't even realize kids could work those kind of shifts.
No, they put the law
They can't
in.
really,
Well,
but they do it
back.
anyways. Yeah.
Now they roll it back. You can't.
As long as
It's because businesses are greedy people that don't care.
Well, they say it's because of the immigration. They're having less people that are willing to work these shifts, so now they're going to let the kids work them. Is that true?
Publix lets the kids bag the groceries around 14.
Well, Publix,
Yeah, but that's a
Publix and Home
different
Depot,
animal.
like for example, because I know those companies well, they are phenomenal companies who follow child labor laws to a T. Like, they would not let me go a minute over my break when I was supposed to take it. Otherwise, it'd be like, we don't want to get in trouble. We want you to take your break. You take it. So Publix is just like that, and they're not going to let you do other things.
Imagine an overnight shift when you're 14, stocking shelves or what?
What's the point?
What would a 14-year-old be doing on an overnight shift? What job capacity would you
when they have school at 7 a.m. the next day?
Well,
exactly.
Because maybe they don't go to school. Maybe they're homeschooled. That's number one. Number two, maybe they need the money because the family is that poor.
But what job would you put a 14-year-old to spend the night
Pick oranges.
doing?
Wait.
In the middle of the night?
Lots of jobs.
Aren't technically not even allowed to be out by themselves at night?
Yeah, so I don't understand the whole concept.
They rolled back the law practing kids. Is
Which
what I
means
read.
They're not protecting
They're
kids.
not, right. It's right. There was a law to stop exactly the abuse.
There has to be. There's more to it. I'm gonna read up on it.
We gotta look it up.
Yeah. I remember when because I started working at 16, that you couldn't work, I think, past 10 or 11.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah.
You could not.
Oh,
and it was also the amount of hours, too. It's like if you started a certain time, like you only could work like 30, whatever it was.
It's like increments almost. You're almost allowed. It's like after 4 hours, you're legally obligated to take a lunch break or 15-minute or something like that. Because if you're working more than 8 hours, you're required a certain amount of breaks.
Yeah.
I remember working for a Mexican restaurant young, and I started off as a hostess, and then gradually they moved me up to waitress when I was of age too.
Well, let me ask you, do you think that the concept of work, college level kids, has changed? Like you go to school for 4 years and you get your degree, and
you're talking to the right.
And you don't want to be lifting boxes at Publix. You want to be in your field of study, but it's not available, or they won't hire you because you don't have the experience, and nobody will give you the experience. Do you think that has made people of your generation say, I might as well just stay home if I'm not going to get what I want?
It makes us tired.
I've noticed that people want you to have 3 years experience for an entry level job. I'm like, that's the whole point of it being.
They tell me now, when we were at Lynn, they want 5 years of experience for an entry level job.
Don't even get me
insane. The audacity of these companies.
As a
I will actually go on a
graduate,
tangent for the longest time with this topic because it's the audacity. I just can't. I can't comprehend the fact that they think entry level means I should have 5 years of experience.
And what does entry level mean?
Entry level
no
for the longest
experience.
time means I'm entering the job field, meaning I need experience. This is entry level. This is the base, the bottom, as low as it gets, meaning I shouldn't have to have experience. You are giving me that experience.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten even with internships. I'm not kidding.
No, internships require you to have 2 years experience.
I'm like, at
okay,
this point?
for an unpaid internship, you require me to have experience.
Then why would you ask for an intern if you want them to have experience? They're supposed to come in and get the experience.
The whole point of the internship was to get experience. They're losing that concept.
Yeah. But what is going on?
I don't know.
Hello, America.
I don't know.
What is going on
around? And it's funny.
What do you mean they can? It's just ridiculous.
It's just gotten more competition. With people, like, expenses going up. They have to pay their current employees probably more. So it's just the competition of, like, being able to not have to hire so many people. Like, all these people, we're ready to hire 10 people, but they don't.
I think they're also full of themselves, too.
Oh, it's insane.
They think they're like all that, meaning we need interns with X amount of experience because we're better than everyone else.
That way they don't want to spend the money to train you on how to do it.
But it depends. I feel like it depends where you go to school and, like, what they offer. And if they do follow through.
Well, the thing is, half the time nowadays, a degree doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My bachelor's degree is becoming this
null and void
garbage piece of paper that no one wants to accept.
You gotta get your master's.
I gotta get my master's, but even then, they're like, sorry, you need your master's and 5 years experience.
PhDs.
What are you talking about?
And it depends on the field. Like, I don't see, to me, like, in this field, like, this is what I got my degree in. I don't see the point of spending money to get a master's.
There is no point.
They didn't teach me crapola in my bachelor's
because 9 times out of 10 with jobs in this field, they require real hands-on experience.
See, because the bottom line, the one thing that a school will never teach you, ever teach you,
real-world skills,
is that there's 2 types of people in the world. They're the ones that get a check, and there's the person that writes that check.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a mark in this field, you got to write the check.
You know what's funny is, so when I really wanted to get out of here, I mean, I still want to move to another country, but that's besides the point. When I did my study abroad, I started just being curious of other jobs in Spain, France, whatever. The amount of, job opportunities in this field was insane compared to here. And also, they didn't require experience. They knew for this 6 months was an internship, you don't have to have any experience. We just require maybe, like, a little bit of the language, a little bit of Spanish, and a little bit of French. That was it. I was like, wow, what a concept.
I got 2 stories to that. One, a friend of mine went to Saudi Arabia, exactly what you said, and the guy, superstar. He's so happy. Another one is a girl that I know went to France. Mm-hmm. What a disaster. Because maybe it's the French, and don't get me wrong, I love French people. I love French fries. I love it all.
Okay.
They put her through...
French fries don't come from France.
They put her through the same BS that was going on here. And then she stuck there. And they knew it. And that was a disadvantage. Listen, every game is a game. The only game that's real is if you own the spot, if you own the company, if you raise your flag, if you hire your own, if you do your own production, whatever. If you're writing the check, it's the only real game in town. But then you're going to have to commit to it. You're going to have to make it work. You're going to have to sacrifice. If you're a female and you want to have children, you got to think about that. because you're carrying the load. No disrespect, but it is what it is. There's changes that go on when you're having children.
Yeah.
Afterward, the whole nine.
There's lots of things to consider.
You gotta exactly.
Lots of circumstances.
But you got to be real about it.
That's why most people don't want to have kids anymore. Because it's almost
nothing
impossible
wrong with
to do that.
Can I say so kids that are educated and they're college degree,
right?
But they've never had work experience, or they don't really have good interpersonal skills, or there's a difference between like educated kids who have their degree and when they're not able to like do certain house jobs. And the reason why I say this, my mom was working for somebody that the daughter got married at 40, and she didn't even know how to open a can with a can opener.
Oh yeah, that goes back to being how you're raised.
How you turn on a microwave.
But I don't think that's the case.
How the parents
are parents strict? Like, you just do your education, you're not gonna work, you
gotta be well-rounded. You gotta have mom and dad's gotta well around you.
That's
That
generational. That's parent.
on, like, I didn't have that experience. I worked full-time since 16. I moved out at 18. I worked 40 hours a week while I did full-time school. Wow. And I have that corporate experience. I'm a manager at a company. So, like, I have that experience, and they don't care.
Yeah, but you're different. You're different because I've
been applying jobs for 6 months, and
no
one cares.
But I see what you're doing, and you're different. You're going down the right path. You don't want to get the check. You want to write the check and have employees.
No, of course.
Tell them the story about the coffee, the intern coffee, that kid.
Years ago, because big deal in this place is coffee, which I've now realized. I told Freddie, coffee in this studio is a metaphor for life. When he fills your cup with coffee, you're like filling your cup up with whatever
I didn't ask you to say that story.
You're important in your mind. Anyway, so coffee's really important in our studio. So he sends one of our old producers to do it. We call it dirty water coffee. So she just poured more water in the pot and used the old grinds. So there was a whole basket full of coffee grounds, and she just poured more water in it.
Yummy.
And he's like, what is this? So he called it dirty water coffee. But how would people know to make a pot of coffee? Now everything's in a single serving Keurig pot. I didn't know how to make this pot till you showed me 4 scoops.
I didn't either. Somebody showed me.
There's so much advancement in technology, like all these foods that you can order online and just stick in the oven and they're ready and they're
But I got to tell you something, honey. If I were to apply for a job, no matter how much experience I have today, I can't compete with you guys. Because you guys know how to use technology. You know how to, do I know how to do this? Yeah, I grew up around this. Do I know the next advancement of this? Good luck with that.
Well,
but hold on. The difference is this. You find a solution to a problem. You find a solution to the problem. So if they're telling you need experience, you got to find the solution to the problem.
There is no solution. That's the problem.
That's not true.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Like you have to be the one to be like, okay, for example, let's say I wanted to work at a marketing agency, but no one wants to give me the experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make fake experience, not lie, but I'm going to be like, I'm going to look at this company and I'm going to make a social media campaign for them. It's a fake one. I'm going to write it all up and that's going to go in my portfolio. That's the whole thing. You want to build your portfolio.
That's great. Just take out the word fake because you can.
But that's what I meant.
But you can because I've seen you do it.
Like, that's the thing. That's the unfortunate thing you have to do now.
Well, you have to sell yourself. The problem here is that you got to sell who you are. Mm-hmm. And if you know how to do that, you got to sell it. How to use AI in your work, in your vocabulary.
For you guys that are we're parents. And
I'm still a parent.
Yeah, we're parents.
When I retire?
For us that are parents, is it proper to raise a kid learning, no, don't touch that, you're gonna get hurt, don't, you wear...
I don't do that. I let them get hurt.
Dress them with all white clothing for a birthday and that, you expect them not to get dirty. But
I like them to get dirty.
There's different upbringings.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
There's no right way of upbringing a kid. You gotta let them be kids. My kids drive me crazy because Freddie's very strict and Gio isn't. And I believe the way Gio does it is correct. I love my kids coming in full of mud from head to toe. Maybe not like my friend here, but I love it because I like it when you get dirty. It means you can take a shower to wash it off and start again. Just the philosophy of life for me.
is that a cultural difference? Because we're also
My
Latin.
father was like that. So we were always dirty.
But see, then there's other families that, you know, like in The Notebook, the girl was doing Italian, English, French, art, all these.
She
like,
had issues.
You know, there's some kids that go to boarding school. And they, you know, get raised a certain way
It just makes the world go around our differences. But the job market is, I know you've got elements too. The job market's tough. Raising kids is tough. I know your generation has animals more than kids because
you gotta be tougher.
So you know the saying "curiosity killed a cat." That's only half the sentence.
Yeah, but satisfaction brought it back, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So all these things where they're saying, "Oh, well, you know, don't be curious." Well, that's only about being curious.
No, you have to be curious.
You gotta be tougher. You know, life is gonna be tough. You just gotta be tougher. You want to meet somebody, you gotta just grind it out until you meet.
That's the thing I've noticed. My problem with a lot of this generation, unfortunately, is that like something happens to them and they play the victim and they give up. Well, no, I'm sorry. If something happens to you, you just use that as motivation.
That's right.
Just be like, okay, crap, I got knocked down, or I got made fun of, or I got blah, 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 blah.
Not only
but that's
now
why
I have
you're
to
the
get back
hiring
up
kind. Do you know you're the hiring kind?
I
Because
know
that's
I
what they're
am,
looking
but
for. They're not looking at resumes.
That's the
Forget
thing, too. They're not looking at
that.
resumes. They're ignoring your
No.
resume. It goes through a machine.
When people bring these resumes in here, they give it to me, I give it to her, and they go, "You ain't gonna look at me?" No, because
Well,
first of all, it's not even the truth on that
I always
paper.
quote Friedrich Nietzsche about that.
Nietzsche.
The best thing to do
That which
nowadays,
does not kill me only makes me stronger.
The best thing to do nowadays is to directly email companies with your cover letter or be like, my name is Heather, blah, 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 I have this experience, whatever. Because when you submit your resume, there's thousands of other applicants who did the same thing and you're expecting the same outcome. No. It goes through a machine, it reads your keywords, and it spits it out.
You know,
that's how it does.
It's funny. I got my first job selling Iveco trucks for Mercedes-Benz, and the guy took me through the plant, and I pointed out 5 different flaws and dangers that I saw. To him, none of my business. I didn't want the job anyway, but I went because my father says, "Go get a job." All right. So I tell the guy, "Hey, you know this is it," and you know what? He hired me not because of my resume, but because he purposely walked me through the company to find flaws, and I found them. He says, "You're what I want." And I popped the deal my first day on the job. They didn't pay me. I sold 21 trucks the first day I was there. And they didn't pay me. And it was $1 million contract.
And then you quit?
And the guy says, "I'm not going to pay you because you've only been here a short time." So I went to the owner of the company and did this walk around. He fired the other guy. He says, "Come back." I said, "No, I quit." And I told the guy that I sold the trucks to, and he called up. He canceled the order.
But see, what we were going back at the beginning of the conversation with men and women, and the women not having as many rights as men. So nowadays, what you see is that women are capable to do just as much as a man can do, because you have women in construction, you have women in the, degree.
Except for soccer.
Everywhere.
Soccer, you don't get paid the same as a man, which is a big deal.
I was gonna say that. Why is it that they're back in time? If the
man
man would always
it's because of the
more.
revenue. So like it's the viewership. If more people are watching men's soccer, they're gonna bring in more money.
Yeah. And WNBA also.
Yeah.
The women aren't making the same
soccer, basketball, anything. It's really what's coming in. If you're not getting the viewership, you're not gonna have the money there to.
And the object of the game is that they give you an opportunity to play in front of millions. Millions. It's like I say, Dawn, we're buying that ABA team. We're going to have the Boca Bandits ABA Basketball League. G-Man is going to be the first signee.
Oh, yeah.
And and they're telling me it's a privilege that I have to be able to say we're the owner of a league until it turns into a business, until it turns into a grind. And that's when things change. You got to be tough. You got to be tougher. And when the tough gets tougher, you got to be tougher than that. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be chasing the rabbit for the rest of your life, man. Don't do it. Everybody in here has qualities to run a business. And you ain't got to prove that to them. You got to prove that to you. And once you buy into the Kool-Aid, let's see what happens.
As a lone survivor, I want to say, like, when you limit yourself, you're putting that barrier, But when you're when you keep thriving and you know you can make it, and you never had any cheerleaders or anybody to support, you're your own hero. Like, you have to build yourself to become that transformation.
Just say yes to everything. Every opportunity that comes your way, say yes to it. Because why not?
Say no.
Do you have elements you want to play before we have
I don't know. Do we have elements?
You sent me a couple things, like a zip line thingy and...
Oh, yeah. Let's do the zip line one. That was funny. This came in from the news. So people zip line down mountains. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
So watch what happens to this poor lady that zip lined through.
A couple of tourists in Costa Rica got a little more than they bargained for while on a zip line.
Kelsey Combs posted this video of her close encounter with the parrot. Combs said a zipline worker told them to be careful because sometimes the birds attack. But thankfully, the two were okay, and the bird just wanted to say hi, although you wouldn't know it by their screams. They're really freaking out here. I think this is a really cool experience.
But until they tell you they attack sometimes.
Right, it's true.
Horror movie, vacation horror movie.
The birds in Costa Rica.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
But that's funny. You ever do zip line?
I've never done
I
any.
I will never do it again. I will never do that.
It's so much fun.
It was so much fun.
It's so fun.
I did it in South
Bird never attacked you?
Carolina, and the trees were like 30 feet high.
You didn't get attacked by a bird?
No, it was fun. It's so much fun. You just like
attacked by a bird.
You're gliding in the wind on a rope, and
Gliding
you're
on the
all
wind.
I only did it once in like a small, like it was like a small like course more than like going over mountains. It was in the mountains, but it was more like a course.
Designated little thing.
Yeah, like a like a little area.
There were no birds.
I was wearing ripped jeans, and my ripped jeans ripped, and I had this huge hole.
Oh
like
my gosh!
this, like all in my leg.
What'd they rip on?
Just getting. Because, like, you were on a harness, like I said, it was courses, so they kept attaching you, unattaching you from the thing.
Dang, it must have gotten hooked on something.
And it got hooked on the thing, and my whole
That's
thing.
crazy.
And then I had to, the last part of the course, you had to drop, like, I don't know how many feet, but it was tall. Like, you just dropped, like, down. And I was the last one in the group, and everyone's laughing. And I'm like, I can't. I feel like my whole butt's going to be, like, out because my pants are ripped, and I was scared to, like, jump.
Did your butt show? Did you lose your butt?
No, luckily it did not.
You know, that's...
Had to go
that
home and
brings
change
up
pants,
something.
though.
You know, like how, you know, the high fashion, they always have the clothes that are ripped and all that stuff? Why don't they just buy from the homeless people?
That's messed up.
But think about it.
Yeah. All right,
you spend lots of money to look like you're homeless.
Stay in your
What
corner.
else we got?
And then I got the other one.
It's like a Chat GPT one you send, and then...
Chat GPT?
And then there's another... You have to tell... And then, what is the polar bear? What do we have?
There's a statue one.
A statue moving?
Oh, yeah, let's show this one. I found this really, really, but you got to look at it because it's real fast. Let's roll that one. Check this out. The statue's feet move.
No, I did not see that.
Did you guys see it?
Play it again?
No.
Restart it.
What statue?
On the left, there's a statue down at the end. At the end.
Oh,
See that?
yeah.
Look at it move. Look at it move. And it moves. See that?
Oh, I see it like a little wiggle. It could be
Like
the
a wiggle.
reflection.
Well,
You sent something to text to me and Heather last night.
yes. This is what you
I
brought
added
it up.
that too, because I didn't know if you wanted me to
Yeah,
put
let's
it in.
play the
pyramids.
what the pyramids are really about. Check this out.
Wow.
Pyramids were not built on the surface to honor the dead. They were constructed as anchors, as containment obelisks, to seal something ancient and immensely powerful below the earth. These newly discovered chambers form what ancient texts called the Abyssal Vault. According to a forbidden section of the Book of Thoth, translated only once before vanishing, this vault was built by a pre-human civilization the Egyptians later called the Neteru. Gods not of the sky, but of the deep earth. At the heart of this spiral, at the lowest point, 2,000 feet down, is a black sarcophagus made from an unknown metal, humming at a frequency just beyond human hearing. Surrounding it are 8 massive crystal pylons, pulsing in alignment with the Orion constellation. Every 26,000 years during the precessional reset, the energy peaks. And here's the kicker. Some believe the being inside was not dead, but in stasis, a creature older than mankind, sealed there during a war between celestial factions, a war that ended with Earth being quarantined. The pyramids were never tombs. They were keys, or worse, a warning. And now, with the scans awakening global interest in frequencies being disturbed by human drilling and radar, the vault may be stirring.
But the amazing thing, I don't know if you guys heard it because it was low, but the amazing thing about this whole piece is they're saying that these pyramids were signals of interplanetary wars, and those things on the bottom are the true reason those pyramids are even there.
Yeah, like, you know, if you overlap the constellation of Orion with the pyramids, they line up with the belt.
Yeah.
Nothing
But
is
then
coincidental.
back in that, like, we're talking thousands and thousands millions of years ago. Didn't they have, like, everybody had to bring up a brick and start?
Yeah, each brick weighed about thousands of tons.
They're saying that's not what happened.
Like
they don't know what
Flintstones.
happened. You can't build them.
What they show in the Flintstones
No, there wasn't Flintstones.
that's not how
I think
works.
it somehow relates, like, biblically speaking, and in the Bible it talks about, I can't remember the name, I don't know, but they were practically giants. They were giants.
The Nephilim?
Yeah. And they could have had something to do with building the pyramids, because regular short cannot build something like that.
Well, we can't even build it today with our most advanced equipment.
Yeah, we can't build it
That's
today.
what I'm saying. So I think
it falls apart. I think that whatever is happening there, they have an answer to it, and everybody's now rushing to take control of the ice caps. If you see what's going on the news, and they know more than we know. Sure. But this thing underneath has always been there, and nobody exposed it.
I love conspiracy theories.
Well, the bottom line, I want to go to Egypt, but I don't know if it's safe. But I want to go. I want to dig my way
I
out.
want to see the pyramids. The pyramids would be awesome.
You think the moon landing was real or fake?
Okay. Don't bring that up, because you're going to turn my brother over in his grave. I had this argument with him when I was 14, and there's evidence that it wasn't real.
It's not real.
And I pointed out the flag thing when I was
because
8 years old.
Because the reason it was moving like that is because there are actually rods in it, so it looks like it's moving.
I know. Well, you know
when they're up there, because there's no air in space.
I'm not buying that, and I'll buy another one. How is it that when they landed, you can see it landing? What, they put a guy out in the...
No, they had a camera.
Where? How they know when they were there?
The biggest thing... No. You want to hear the biggest thing, regardless of any other fact or opinion, whatever? Why can't we go back? We lost the technology.
We're working on that.
How do we lose the technology?
No, because they don't just want to go back. They want to do something bigger.
No, but listen, they claim the reason why we haven't gone back to the moon is because we lost the technology to do so. You don't lose technology to go to a planet if we've been to a planet.
Now they want to go to Mars instead of the moon, because there was life on Mars, and they want to go back. They want to make a hotel. Trump wants to make a hotel on Mars.
I say let's do it. I say
All
let's do it.
I tell you got to read Frank's books, because Frank's books
like Star Wars.
Talks about his version of the pyramids.
Put in a rocket and shot to Uranus.
He talks about all of the things that you need the special key from the different symbols around the world and the globe, and the vibration under the ground as they come up. They're all in his book, which is amazing.
Well, I also saw a piece, one of the tombs that they put a body in these things underneath the ground. The precision of what was drawn on it, they can't even match it with a laser today. The precision and the uniformity of how deep it is. Something created it, and they can't match it. They don't know. It's not done by hand. It's impossible, because the lines are so straight. It looks like a laser. So something's going on.
I mean, you got to read like Eric von Daniken, because he has these talks about that. Like, have you ever seen the Incan cities where the rocks look like they're melted to fit together like jigsaw puzzle pieces? They're so tight that you can't even get like the credit card or the blade of a knife between them. Or there's places like.
Yeah, but I understand that, but to have precision.
That's what I'm saying.
Back millions and millions of years ago, no way humans could do that.
Right, then that's the
whole
thing.
They had tools. I'm sure they would find like planks
of
wood,
and what happened to them?
They would use rocks.
But where are the tools?
But I'm sure they had to invent them, like in order to be able. Like,
they
not
actually
everyone.
had like a granite drill head that they had at one point.
Not everyone.
Can I be like, can I be as smart for a second? You guys keep saying millions and millions of years.
No, that's like,
it's bugging me so bad.
No, it's not millions,
it's thousands.
I'm going to tell you something. You don't know that. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't.
Well,
then nobody knows. Nobody knows when those things are built.
You know that every world culture in history has a flood myth? So it's all coming from...
But like, even scientifically and biblically speaking, like, we had our dinosaurs millions of years ago, but like in terms of like civilization, living humans, Homo sapiens, things like that, we can date it back to thousands of years ago.
Well, they found a body, a skeleton that was, I think, 20 feet or 10 feet tall. You saw this?
Yeah, like you're talking about the Kandahar giant that was in Afghanistan.
But then I don't know if it's real or not, so I'm just going to leave it there.
They had red hair and like 6 fingers.
But if it's real, if it is real, right, then the dinosaurs were their dinner. Like when you go shoot a deer, that's why the dinosaurs are so big.
Wow. So that's
so
like
you're talking about millions. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. All I know is you can't replicate it. You can't duplicate it. And now you're going to show it to me and say it's there. Something's going on.
Like, that's why I always...
Hold that thought. We got to wrap up.
Got to wrap up
the morning show, so you can hold that thought. Let us know your thoughts on all of this controversy.
And come to the studio and tell us. We'll put it on the air. This is great. We can do this all day.
So join us today at 11 o'clock for Hello, Your Health is Calling. It's her 1-year anniversary show.
Mazel tov.
So how to reinvent yourself with Sue Kostick and Pamela Chanel David's going to be her guest. They're going to be joining us midday on the Brooklyn Cafe show. We also have Juan from Heart to Heart joining us on the midday show via telephone, talking about the walk on Saturday at Tradewinds Park.
Maybe I can get my medal early.
A lot of good stuff. So have a great morning, everyone. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you in a little bit.
And don't be late. Thank you for listening to the Brooklyn Cafe Morning Show. My mug is empty, and you know what that means.
I think it means it's time for a coffee refill.
As we prepare for other shows here at the Amp Media Production Studios.
Tune in for more fun and laughs at 12 o'clock for our afternoon show.
And remember to like, follow, and subscribe on our page.
Have a great morning, everyone. Stay safe and be kind to each other.
And don't be late.